Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez had a really bad week. In fact, it's probably her worst week since she's been in Congress. Not only did she pander to black audiences at a recent speech, but her inflammatory comments regarding the border and the crisis with asylum seekers is way beyond what political leaders should be saying. Not only that, but she was roundly criticized for her lack of economic knowledge regarding the Amazon fiasco. We'll look at all of that, plus the crisis at the border with a system that is overwhelmed, and now our Department of Homeland Security Secretary abruptly resigned effective yesterday. We'll look at all of that, plus a whole lot more. I'm Bobby Eberly. This is a 13-minute news hour.
God bless the United States of America.
All right, folks, before we dive into what Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is saying, I just want to thank you for supporting the channel, your comments and your views. It's just, the growth has been a crazy. But I just want to show you a few stats from last Monday's show and really encourage you to subscribe. Let me put this up on the screen. This is our show from Monday, and without any kind of advertising, just the support of you guys and the views and the recommendations, we hit over 77,000 views. But take a look at what's going on. We ran this, there was an April 1st show, and you could see how the views went for the next few days. And like on the very first day, we had about 8,544 views. 7,156 of those were from non-subscribers, and 1,388 were from subscribers. The next day, it jumped to over 28,000 for non-subscribers and 626 for subscribers. So if you could do me a big favor, even if you just pause the video for a second, hit subscribe and then hit the bell so you get notified when there's a new show, and that would really help us out a lot. Okay, on to Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. All right, we'll first start off with President Trump. He was giving a speech to the Republican Congressional Committee, and he was talking about the Green New Deal and how its price tag is approaching $100 trillion. It's just outrageous. It's not based in any kind of economics that are reasonable or feasible or practical or doable for this country. And he talked about Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, and here's what he said.
The Green New Deal, done by a young bartender, 29 years old. A young bartender, wonderful young woman. The Green New Deal.
Okay, that didn't sit well with her at all. And according to ABC News, here's a tweet. Here's what they reported she said in response. She said, Representative Ocasio-Cortez, I'm proud to be a bartender. Ain't nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with working retail. There's nothing wrong with preparing that your neighbors will eat. There's nothing wrong with being a working person in the United States of America. Okay, so that was her response as printed out by ABC News. But that led to the second round of, just her very bad week. And that's not just what she said, but how she said it. She was speaking, she said those comments at an Al Sharpton event, and you've probably seen the clip by now. But she just decided to pander to the predominantly black audience. And it's just disrespectful. And to think that you have to change your voice like that in order to appeal to an audience, it reminds me of Hillary Clinton back in 2007, when I think she was on the campaign trail speaking in Selma, Alabama. And here in her best accent is what she said.
I don't feel no ways tired. I come too far from where I started from. Nobody told me that the road would be easy.
All right, so that's Clinton. But now let's take a look at AOC and her comments.
Proud to be a bartender. Ain't nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with working retail, folding clothes for other people to buy. There is nothing wrong with preparing the food that your neighbors will eat. There is nothing wrong with driving the buses that take your family to work.
Geez, there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, give me a break and just listen to the ends of her sentence. This is what, because we're going to get to her reply, but I just want you to, even if you have to replay it and you look at people's voices, normally if they're deep Southern or they're trying to maintain a kind of a neutral accent, it's when they get excited and the accent comes out near the ends of sentences. As you get more and more revved up, it changes. But this is why this is just such a bogus, presentation and speech by her, because her twang is the strongest at the end. And by the time she gets to the end of her sentences, words like that and buy and eat and work, just listen. They sound like her normal, regular voice. She's not getting more and more excited. She's just losing the accent that she was trying to play off on these guys. And it's just actually pathetic. But here's how, and of course, the criticism came in, and here is how she responded. She said, "Folks talking about my voice can step right off. Women's March and Kavanaugh speech, same. Any kid who grew up in a distinct linguistic culture and had to learn to navigate class environs at school, work, knows what's up. My Spanish is the same way. These conspiracy mills are trash." All right, well, no, her accent and stuff hasn't changed. Ryan Saavedra over at Daily Wire looked at those speeches. I've looked at countless and listened to countless speeches. Their accent was never like that. Yet she goes to Al Sharpton's, rally, and all of a sudden she's talking like she was, and it's just pathetic. But that it doesn't end there. Also, at that same conference, they had a panel discussion where one of the speakers absolutely slammed AOC for the debacle that was Amazon and the money, the projected $30 billion that could have come to that area economically with 25,000 new jobs. And here is what they said according to Fox News. "The people campaigning against the Amazon campus are financially illiterate," said Tracy Matland, President and Chief Investment Officer of Advent Capital Management, during a panel discussion, The Black Economic Agenda, according to the New York Post. He later told the newspaper that he blames a 29-year-old Democrat socialist for spreading misinformation and helping kill the agreement with Amazon that would have benefited people in her home state. "This was a disgrace. I partially blame AOC for the loss of Amazon. She doesn't know what she doesn't know. That's scary. We have to make sure she's better educated or vote her out of office," he said, noting that Ocasio-Cortez implied the state was giving a blank $3 billion check rather than tax credits based on the number of jobs created. All right, her response to that was to act like a child that was not invited to the grown-ups table. She was basically pouting because she wasn't involved in the negotiations. She was just sworn into Congress this past January. These negotiations between the city of New York, the state of New York, and Amazon were going long before AOC stepped on the scene. But because they didn't, kiss the ring, she fought against it, and it just shows. And she's supposed to have a degree in economics, which it just makes absolutely no sense. But then she went on even more. There's more. She took to Instagram for a live feed that just shows her, I guess she thinks people want to see her drinking wine and spouting off, whatever comes into her head. And here is what she said on Instagram.
"At least I'm not trying to cage children in the border and inject them with drugs. That's not a mistake. That is a deliberate policy to attack people based on their national origin. That's not a mistake. That's just hatred. That's just cruelty. That's just wrong."
All right, the policies she's talking about were in place long before Donald Trump came on the scene. Barack Obama did the exact same thing. The only difference is the system wasn't swamped and flooded like it is now. And Obama's former border chief really took issue with this. Isn't a Trump, crony. This is Obama's former border chief. He spoke out saying just how, inflammatory and wrong her statements are. So this is from the Washington Times, and here's what they said. "I'm trying to restrain myself with this answer because, first of all, United States Border Patrol, they should be applauded for what she's talking about," Mr. Morgan said, Fox News reported. "In 2004, when the crisis started, they did an incredible job of scrambling, throwing money, and putting a facility together to actually care for them properly because their facilities were overcrowded. In 2015, the administration then were saying what an incredible, great job Border Patrol did. Mr. Morgan said that the current situation at the border is the worst we've ever experienced, in part because the demographics are very different. Previous waves of illegal immigrants, he said, were overwhelmingly men. Now, he says, entire family units are heading to the U.S. southern border. And those cages, Mr. Morgan said, of Ms. Ocasio-Cortez's commentary, the reason why they're designed that way is for the safety and security of the people who are in there. So those comments she's making, first of all, she's wrong. They're reckless and irresponsible. So that's the week she had. And it's just incredible that someone hasn't, sat her down and talked to her and said, you're a member of Congress now. How about showing some actual leadership instead of posting Instagram videos where you don't know what you're talking about? It's absolutely wrong and saying the things that she is saying. All right, so now let's look at what's actually going on at the border, because we had some big news yesterday where Secretary of Homeland Security Kirstjen Nielsen abruptly resigned following a meeting at the White House with Donald Trump. She tweeted out following the announcement, "This afternoon I submitted my resignation to POTUS and thanked him for the opportunity to serve in his administration. It's been an honor of a lifetime to serve with the brave men and women of DHS. I could not be prouder of or more humbled by their service, dedication, and commitment to keep our country safe from all threats and hazards." In her resignation letter, she added this: "Despite our progress in reforming Homeland Security for a new age, I have determined that it is the right time to step aside. I hope that next Secretary will have the support of Congress and the courts in fixing the laws which have impeded our ability to fully secure America's borders and which have contributed to discord in our nation's discourse. Our country and the men and women of DHS deserve to have all the tools and resources they need to execute their mission entrusted to them." So Trump made a little tweet saying that he thanked her for her service, talked about the next guy that's coming in, and we're going to get into all of that later on in the next show as we dig deeper. The acting secretary has been a member of Customs and Border Protection for a while, through the Obama administration, through Trump, and he is well regarded as highly intelligent, and hopefully he'll do a good job. But there is so much going on, and this is why when AOC and others make comments about the border, they don't understand what's going on. Here's just a little clip from Fox News when they were talking about the Nielsen stepping down.
And when you hear what Casey Stegall just reported, that in the El Paso sector, 70,000 illegal immigrants had crossed the border, where last year the number was 9,000.
So you can see that's just one area. That's just the El Paso area. This is going on all along the southern border, and something has to change. All right, just a couple little news tidbits before we head out to show you what's been going on over the past week. Remember Governor Ralph Northam in Virginia, the guy who couldn't support babies, protecting them even after they were born. He said on the radio that it's okay to let a baby die after it was born if the doctor and the wife, mother said so. It's absolutely outrageous. Well, this week, he just signed a bill that protects animals, dogs and cats, from cruelty and ups the penalties for abuse against dogs and cats. Yet he can't protect innocent human life after the baby is born. It's just absolutely outrageous. So think about that as you go about your day, along with the other news that we covered. And, we'll keep digging into this, folks. Again, please hit the subscribe button. I appreciate you for tuning in today. I'm Bobby Everly. This is the 13-Minute News Hour.